Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 105, Last of Focus. I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, my good friend, Mr. Sean Dorsey. Sean, how's it going, my friend?
Good, Ed. How you doing?
Good as always. And of course, our producer extraordinaire, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Good, thanks, Ed.
Good. All right. So the title requires some explanation. So we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off right now. We've been having some internal discussions about the show and the direction of the show and where it is, where it started, and where we're going. And where it started was when X-Wing 2nd Edition was first announced. We were all jumping back into X-Wing, and Lack of Focus, part of focus being in the game of X-Wing, was supposed to be focused, targeted specifically towards X-Wing. If you're a fan of the show and you've been listening for as long as we've been running for 105 episodes, you are fully well aware of the fact that we don't talk about a ton of X-Wing anymore. And that's okay. Legitimately, to make sure to dissuade any potential rumors, there is not a rift. There's not a tear. We're all still really, really good friends. But we do want to take into account for the folks that are tuning in for X-Wing content only that they're genuinely not getting what they're looking for. So we are going to transition into a whole new show that allows us to cover all the topics. If we're going to talk about arcade games on an episode, we can do that. If we're going to talk about 40K and Ed does a 7-part primer on the 40K lore, like we have those avenues of it open to us to be able to explore. That's pretty much it. That's the basics behind it. And since we're as open and as honest with our audience as we tend to be, we decided to record this conversation of some of the ideas that we're going to be pitching for the show. Maybe to get some feedback from those that are listening and say, hey, that sounds like a good idea. You should do that. Or don't do that. That's an awful idea. Any disagreement from anyone else on the other side? I said, Kris, you've got a little bit more I think you might want to add into this, but that's the premise of what we're going to be doing. We're not going anywhere. We're still just going to be doing the same thing we always do, just under a different title. That's all.
Yeah, so I sent a message out yesterday, I think. Was it yesterday? I don't think it was today. I'm pretty sure I sent it yesterday.
The long-winded one that I read on the way home? No, you did that today.
Was that today? Okay.
That was today.
It was even today. Yeah, it wasn't even a day's notice. I've been mulling it over for a while. I've recorded some X-Wing stuff with Zach and Bruno, and like the difference between that talk and our talk, I was like, you know what, I don't feel as comfortable marketing this to people as an X-Wing podcast anymore. So I kind of thought of the idea that I still have 2 podcast streams theoretically, because I still pay for the Dice 8 podcast on the SoundCloud. And I also pay for Podbean, which was specifically for Lack of Focus. And it ended up that all content just gets posted on both of them. And that kind of worked, but as I've been doing a bunch of work on Dice 8, I think I've been talking about it for like the last 6 episodes probably, of like working on the business plan, working on the website, all of that.
Yeah, this is the genus of it, of trying to sort things out and put things into their proper piles.
Yeah, so the website should, touch wood, the website should be live when this episode goes live. It should be launching. It should be launching on the start of the well. I should have it done by Monday. Let's put it that way. It's Thursday now. I'm working tomorrow. It's Canada Day. I'm working Saturday. But the functionality of the website all works. I've got 1 test article in my articles. I've got 1 test review in the reviews. All of the links to everything works. The website is ready to launch. There's just no content on it at the minute. So that's going to get all churned out and reattached and everything. And that should go live when this episode goes live. So as part of that, I was like, well, if we just make this show the Dice 8 podcast and we'll reset that number, we will start a new podcast, episode 1. So like, this could be
It's an easier number to remember.
Yeah, like we're not even settled on the name being the Dice Hate Podcast yet. That's one of it. We had a 5-minute warm up chat before we went live, but basically all of that is going to be happening live. That's what we're here to do tonight. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I personally, I've been pretty neglectful in the last what's probably all of June. I've felt like an absentee father for the X-Wing group in Calgary. I've just not been there playing. It's been pretty difficult. But it is what it is. I still plan on playing X-Wing, being involved and making X-Wing content. So lack of focus may come back in a different guise. It's just it won't be this show anymore. It will be an X-Wing podcast if we do it. But there it is. There's that.
And to be fair to our X-Wing only audience, it's only fair to them to get them the content that they would be looking for. And if we're all completely honest with ourselves, Kris is probably the only one. He always carries the X-Wing content because he's the one that's most active. I play occasionally, every once in a while a game comes up, but I am nowhere near the level that I was way back in the Nova days. I freely admit that. I have other interests that have taken me in other directions. It's nice seeing games getting played at the store, so I still have that interest. It's still there. I still like the game. It's just I'm nowhere near attached to it as I used to be, and that's unfair. It's unfair to the listeners who are tuning in specifically for that. Like the days that we go off on 45 minutes of non X-Wing content might be torturous for them, and we're trying to. If we want to build an audience, you kind of have to fill that niche, and that's really kind of the idea.
And that was, I think, the terminology I used was that I think it'll be liberating to move past that to actually just. I mean, when Ed can propose a topic for the next show in 2 weeks' time, we can all sit and do and it can be like anything then, can it? Like Sean plays board games every week.
I was thinking this exact same thing.
There's so many different things we can do if we free ourselves from prying.
And I want to throw one more thing in is that it's I think, like in my mind, it's more like a variety show.
Yeah.
Rather than a static single topic show. And the other thing is, this also opens us the ability to get guests.
Yeah.
To bring potential guests in who might be an expert in a game that we're learning or a game that we're playing or trying to learn, And it could be kind of like a, book of the month club. And I'm not talking about reading books. I'm talking about...
I will be.
Well, I'm talking about game of the month, a game of the month club where Ed finds a game that he thinks is pretty cool that's on Steam, let's say. I don't know if what you have on Steam. And then we all try it out, and we all get it, try it out, and have a conversation. But that may not be the majority of it. It could just be, this is what Ed did, this is what Kris did, this is what Sean did, and, and it just goes on that way. I think that... So
legitimately, the idea that I had, I think you kind of touched on the same thing that I was exactly thinking, like a rotating schedule. Like, this week it's Kris's top week to bring whatever topic is the main topic, and whether that is Necromunda, and we're talking about Necromunda, or we're talking whatever it is that he brings to the table, that's the topic for conversation. And then Sean's week comes up and we're talking arcade games, the top 10 Namco games of all time. And then the next week it's Ed Primer 2 into let's talk about the Horus Heresy and this damn traitor. Like legitimately one of the other things we talked about, this is one of the behind the scenes conversations that we had talked about, because Kris had mentioned something along the lines that he was going to be rereading the Horus Heresy. And I'm like, oh God, that's such a great idea. We should do a book club. Like, we should have the listeners go, and if they've got an Audible account, sit down and say, for a month, the book of the month is Horus Rising. And then on that fourth show, or this next to the fourth show, there is a bonus episode that is just talking about the book that we all listened to and we all read, and then moving forward through there. Like, and that's stuff that I think that we couldn't have done in the confines of lack of focus in the X-Wing quote unquote focus show.
And with that, in some background, this is behind the scenes stuff, as Ed always likes to say, we could talk about Obi-Wan.
Oh boy, can we?
Because that's what we've done the last couple weeks, or we can talk about
The Boys.
bet. Because, we always have this, we need to get in focus going so we can talk about it, but then it's hard to get schedules together to do an in focus.
Yeah, like we were supposed to do a book. We were supposed to do a Book of Boba Fett one. We never were able to get that together because you're right, because it fell into the confines of, well, we can only get together twice a week, once every 2 weeks, because everyone's schedules is kind of wonky, and we just never got to it. And if we were to do it now, it's so far off base now, it wouldn't work.
Right.
I think one of the things as well is with the format of what I'm working on with the website, there's more scope for stuff like if Ed wants to talk to Alan from when we did the D&D campaign about something, he can record the content and then it can fit into a little niche somewhere, because like Ed can have his own stuff, or like if Ed wants to do old guy gaming stuff, like as Sean mentioned on the website, we can have that tab that it all links through and does all of that stuff, and it can kind of all of the stuff we want to do and are excited about, because it's a lot easier to do stuff when you're excited about it. So my expectation is that it'll be a lot easier to get stuff done when it's more like whatever we want to do.
Well, and if you go back,
we're all old now. We don't have time to make new friends, so we're stuck with each other.
If you go back, though, to the original idea for what Dice 8 Productions was supposed to be, that was supposed to be the umbrella to which other things fell underneath. This show, your YouTube channel was supposed to fall under that, but there were always that thoughts and mixings of other things that could fit onto that umbrella that we just never got around to. We all kind of like zeroed in and zero focused on one thing, whereas it does open the door up for other potential content creators that may or may not be us that could also fall under the umbrella to be able to fall into that category as well. So ideally it's about expanding Dice 8 Productions, and we're all friends and I want to help you do that. To be perfectly honest with you. Chad and I had I saw him on Tuesday, by the way, not at the game store. He was here at the house because we sat down and watched watched the latest episodes of Rick and Morty. We watched season 5 of Rick and Morty. I could absolutely see Chad rifting off for like 45 minutes on the 5th season of Rick and Morty. Like maybe that's a content, like you just record it like, hey, here's more random crap that comes out. But while he was here, he was like, he's genuinely getting really hardcore back into 40K, as am I. Maybe there is just a 40K only show that kind of falls into that category. Like there's a whole bunch of different possibilities that this opens up.
The stupid thing about that is like
I know
you can revive Heresy Cast. There's no reason why you can't.
You're right.
But all it happens is that it is a show under that umbrella.
Correct.
Rather, because what we bounced through Going For It was your Blood Bowl podcast.
Yeah, God, someday.
The amount of money I've spent on web domains and RSS feeds for you. Right. Now it all gets to fall underneath one thing. So you can do an episode of Going For It. You can do an episode of Heresy Cast. You can do all of it, and none of it. It's okay. I can mute you out because it's going to be on separate tracks because of Craig. Because we're upping the production quality again. We've got like cameras for us all. We're going to have like YouTube videos again.
For those of you that are picking that up, my sincerest apologies. My family is trapped in California. They went out to visit my wife's grandmother, and their flight got canceled. So everyone was supposed to be here by 6 p.m. tonight. They're not going to be home until 6 a.m., potentially, assuming their flight doesn't get canceled, or maybe they don't show up till Saturday and they're bouncing back between airports. But for whatever reason, the dogs are going completely insane, and there's nothing I can do about it from here because there's nobody up there to curb them. I'm so sorry. I genuinely am very sorry. It's super frustrating for me. We had to restart the show because I was getting into the start of the show, and we had to restart. This is the second take because of the dogs. It's
I can edit it out when I'm talking, when you're talking, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah,
what better way to end the show than to have random dogs barking in the background because they want to be dicks tonight.
Yeah. So we kind of jumped right into a main topic, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to still go over, your what have we been doing this week kind of thing and come back around, or I don't know. How do you care? Do you just want to keep talking about this stuff?
I think I mean we can absolutely, but I feel like that's.
But this is your potentially last show in charge, so.
All right, yeah, we should probably cover that topic too, and just so we're on the same page. There's no bad blood. There's no bad blood at all. When Kris mentioned this in our private chat, and I was thinking about this on the drive home from work, I'm like, well, if we do a Dice Hate production show, I'm very uncomfortable with the idea of hosting a Dice Hate production show because I'm not Dice Hate Productions. He is. So if there is a new show that is the Dice Hate podcast, Kris should be the host. And to be perfectly honest with you, for those who do not know and are unaware, Kris does all the heavy lifting. Sean and I just fucking show up. That's it. Like, we show up. Sometimes he pitches the main topic literally minutes before we hit the record button. Kris does all the work. So that is legitimately, I mean, I am well behind my days of preparing notes a week in advance, getting everyone else the PDF document that covers over every card and the conversation we're going to have. Like, I'm well behind that. I show up. I speak. He does all of the work. He does all the editing. He does all the website work. He does all the Patreon work. He's the one that's monitoring and keeping an eye on Discord. I have no problem with this at all because it makes sense.
Yeah, he says that right up until he gets to record his Heresy Cast show, and then he's the host of that one. And,
right, that's all it is. Like, if I need my ego stroked,
what do you mean you've not read 15-page? Sorry, Ed. I mean, I read all of the Horus Heresy rulebook and all of the Loyalist Legions. I just didn't have time to do a Traitor Legion. But have you seen how thick they are?
I know they are pretty big. That's all 7th edition rules too, from what I'm understanding.
It's updated 7th edition. I've not read the rules yet, but I have.
I have a couple of guys.
I've got the Age of Darkness box. I've got the heavy tank.
That's so cool.
I've got special weapons and heavy weapons. I have Rogel Dawn. I have Fafnir Ran. So I probably have some Imperial Fists that are going to get worked on once the new yellow contrast paint turns up. So I'm going to be doing some Horus Heresy content. You can do what you want, Ed, if you want to be involved.
Well, I was thinking more the lore of the Horus Heresy, but the game itself.
I'm gonna make you do a podcast about another game you don't play.
Oh, but
it's so liberating, Ed. It's so liberating. Come and join me in something else you know nothing about.
I'm going to have to go out and get it then. That's the problem. The upside is Games Workshop did the right thing. They're making that completely made to order. They're not doing the Indominus box set stuff that they did before, or the stuff that they did with Dominion, or like where they limited them and then they became like they're scalped all over the place. You can find them everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got I think we've still got probably like 10 or so left in Sentry Box at the minute, but I think they'll go pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then you can just reorder them. But anyway, so to get back to my original thought process being that moving forward, Kris would still be the host of if it's not considered the Dice Hate podcast, even if we decided to come up with another title. The only other thing that I would think of is rotating hosts, and depending on like if it's Sean's week and we're covering over
the crowd will suffer when it's my week.
I don't know about that.
You say that, Sean, but
you
like
when
you start going on one of your board games that you've been playing with the guys, and remember if it's your topic, you can tell us in advance, and then we've got to be the ones to like learn the game and make sure we're up to speed.
Right.
Yeah. No, it'll be good.
Yeah, do you see what I mean though? Like the week that it's going through, whomever, that's the host for the week. Like it can be, it doesn't like they're. For those who don't know, like legit, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. Someone by all means, there's no egos here with us. There hasn't been for a long time. I never even had an ego whenever I was doing. I don't think. Please, someone tell me if I was an asshole whenever I was doing Nova Squadron.
I mean, I'll fill in for Chad for you. You're always an asshole.
Thank you. See, I need that in my life sometime. But yeah, no, like I tried never to have any level of ego, even whenever we were the top rated, top listened to X-Wing podcast in the world. I just never let any of that get to me. And this is the reason why I'm still doing it with these guys long after those glory days are over. because I love hanging out with them. These are my friends. So it's like it doesn't matter to me who wears the hat that day. It just doesn't. I just want to hang out with my friends and talk about bullshit. That's all that matters.
I mean,
who wears the hat?
This is all a giant trap in that I was like, oh man, it'll be so much easier for you guys to like be able to do whatever we want. It's actually just me getting free work from people who want to do more. Like, if I actually get 3 podcasts out for 3 of us now, and I just get to have more different, varied content, it makes my life easier.
Sean's
I mean, it doesn't, because it's still three times as much editing, but whatever.
But that's the idea. Like, legitimately, and I don't know if you want to, stop me if you don't want to go that deep into it. Like, legitimately, that was the idea what Dice 8 Productions was supposed to be. Like, ultimately, and the reason why all of these things were supposed to be under an umbrella was because that would be the work that you would be putting into it. You'd be editing any YouTube videos that are going out that are falling into that category. You'd be doing the audio for the podcast, and that was kind of your job, you know? And then any funds that were generated from that, you would withdraw a salary from to compensate you for the work that you're putting in. That's exactly what the whole thing was supposed to be from the beginning.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the way it currently works, where I get all of the no money for doing none of all of the no
for
work.
Doing all of the no work. Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Well, if you're taking this step where you made the decision, like, either I'm going to take Dice 8 Productions seriously and I'm going to fix this, or I'm not.
Yeah.
And you've made the conscious choice, like, I'm going to take this seriously and we're going to fix this. In that instance, everything makes sense. There are logical conclusions to move from there.
I know we've touched on it briefly off. I don't know if I've spoke about it as very candidly on the podcast. I honestly can't remember or not. So I am going over all ground. Unlucky, you stuck with it. But yeah, obviously Joe's pregnant again. We're having a second child in early September.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we've done that part already. It's fine.
I found out live on the show.
Yeah. I didn't. It's okay.
That's good.
Yeah. But that kind of put me in that predicament because Evie starts school this year as well. So if we weren't having a second child, it kind of gets to a point where I start looking to be a grown up again and like
who
contributing
wants to do
to it. But not, you know what I mean? Like, do I look for a real job? Do I start doing, and it all opens up. Having a second child means we reset the clock and go back, and I'm theoretically better able to do the job a second time around now. And I'm hoping to not make the same mistakes twice because I say it was doing well. It wasn't like exploding, but it was going in the right direction. I was doing stuff, and then I effectively stopped 4 years ago. Recording with you guys is the only thing that I carried through. Lack of focus was the one constant that Dice 8 had.
And he may not say it out loud, but I'll say it for him. And the reason why he continued to do it was a commitment for us, because he did it. He did it for us, and he wanted to hang out with us, and it's perfectly fine.
It's not even just that. It's like, if I didn't, am I doing anything?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different aspects to it, and taking away that safety blanket is another reason to want to do this. Like, if I don't make this, if I didn't suggest a change, and I said to the guys, if you want to keep doing this, I'm more than happy to keep doing it in its current form, and it's fine. But by removing that safety blanket, well, I don't know. I can't even think of words now. This is why I'm so good at being a host. Be awesome. Removing that safety net from it of like, oh fuck, I don't have lack of focus next week. I have to actually make some content. Means that I have to start thinking about what content I want to do. Like, I've had a billion ideas. I've spoken about a billion ideas for everyone. I still have the Frameworks Hill Giant that I'm going to use. I'm going to be doing a review on this when it came out. Came out ages ago now. It's built, undercoated, and I've got the speed paints that I got from Army Painter to test to do a review on those as well. None of it's been done yet because, lack of folks will be content enough. It's fine.
So when you remove the safety net, you are forced to be put into a position where if I'm putting anything out, I need to work for it.
Right.
And that's good. That's a good thing. It stimulates creativity because it gets your gears going on what's the next 5 shows I want to do? What's the next 10 things I want to do? I need to get all this, this new mini's coming out. People are going to want to see that. I need to get it out of the box and painted and ready to go for the YouTube channel. So when it releases, people can see, here's how you paint it. Here's how you put it together. Here's what the unboxing is. Like one of your biggest ones was the unboxing you did whenever you had unboxed
the X-Wing from it's the X-Wing from Worlds. Then there was Prospero Burns was pretty big. Shadow War Armageddon was pretty big.
Yeah.
Like if I do the work, I can get 20,000 views, like 12,000 views. If I don't, we get 30 views on on Lack of Focus, and it's fine.
Exactly.
Because you know what I mean? And it's never been about making money from YouTube ads because it doesn't. I think I made $8 from like the lifetime of that X-Wing video, and it's still people still click on unboxing an X-Wing, and I hate it because it's a terrible video. Because I'd never done, I didn't know I was getting the X-Wing because it gave them at Worlds, but didn't tell anyone what was coming. So it's like recorded on my phone, like in the hotel room, and it's just a bad video. But
you're still picking up residual views from that, and that should tell you something.
Yeah,
that's the only downside to like podcasts. Unless someone finds a podcast and like, oh, I need to burn through the whole library. The residuals on those, even on the YouTube side of it, are very slim. Whereas painting videos are eternal.
I've done some. Like one of the ones that was really weird, and it's just a shame that it all lined up for when I was still really busy parenting with Evie and like lack of sleep and literally just no time. Because this was when Evie was only in daycare 1 day a week as well. But I used to get requests for more Rune Wars videos, and I've got all of the Rune Wars I could purchase in the storage room, still in shrink, ready for unboxing. I've got all 4 factions ready to paint. I'm sure no one's going to come and hunt me down now, but I can talk about the 5th faction that was going to come out that didn't get done. There was so much stuff I could have done with Rune Wars, and people were still asking for it. I'm like, Dice 8 could be the home of Rune Wars. It's a dead game, but it's still going to be more views than 0, and it's not that hard to make the content. I had my music, and I did proper intro sequences and everything, and I really enjoyed working on that, and I can do that for other games, but I just have to do it. So,
like hell, I'm looking forward to Heart of Darkness coming out for the Alien RPG. Like I could do an unboxing of that whenever I get it, and like there's a whole slew of things that this opens the door for. And even if it's individual one person recording 1 day a week, covering over an obscure free league RPG like Alien RPG, as much as I love it, and that's all
that's the stupid thing. I'm sure. I was going to say we could talk about it off air, but there's no point. So the entire premise of this show is that we do it all in the open. But I can pitch to you, Ed, now. Like, well, if you want to do an unboxing on your YouTube channel, we can put do a written article on the Dice 8 one, link through, embed the video, and you can have like Old Guy Gaming as one of the umbrellas that Dice 8 points to and drive traffic to, and benefit from. Like, I won't be paying for SEO. I will be doing all of the SEO and all of that work. And rising tides raise all ships, but that would involve you having to actually do Old Guy Gaming stuff again.
It would, wouldn't it?
I was tidying up my Dropbox. Shall we have a look at the Dropbox folder? Like, Ed's stuff So I've got a 6-second intro video that I had to make. I've got logos I had to work on. I've got banners that are, and like all of this stuff that I made that I just, fuck that shit. Chris put a bunch of work into this for me because he's a good friend, and then, I'm just going to stop because I'm lazy.
Well, for me, all right. So for me, it became I was getting a little bored with Magic, and I'm not going to lie. But I used that stuff the entire time I ran that channel. The entire time I ran that channel, I used that stuff. It was fantastic. But no,
if you're not having to worry about building Old Guy Gaming, or if you're just using that to upload your content to, it can we can do it all together. Sean can launch his Twitch stream.
Yeah.
That's it.
I've got a weird take on that one. I would probably get more done if I felt like I was quote unquote working for you than if I was working for me. Because if I'm working for me, all right, God, how do I say this without sounding condescending? How do I get these words? What I do for a living on my regular Monday through Friday 9 to 5 compensates me very, very well. My wife makes a very, very good living. So my dreams are not of YouTube fame and YouTube paying the bills and someday walking away from a job. The job that I have right now, I love what I do. My intention is to retire doing it because I'm very attached to the mission of what we do. I just don't see myself ever not doing that, which is fantastic. But what it does mean is that little things like a YouTube channel like that required more of a grind, more of a treadmill than I was willing to put in. I did it for a while. I did it as a social experiment for myself to see if I could get myself to 1,000 subs in YouTube and actually start earning cash off of it, which I did. I accomplished my goal. Once I hit that goal, my desire just bled completely right out of me because it was very hyper focused on covering MTG Arena content all the time. And there were days when you would sit down to record, you're like, I don't have any fucking clue what deck I'm going to play today. I'll throw this together and do a 35-minute video on this.
And you and I had a conversation about that where I think if you're going to stream Magic, there's two things you have to do. You have to commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And number two, you do have to throw money at it.
Yep.
Because you have to have the gems or the coins to be able to get into the drafts.
Yep.
To the sealeds and all that during, when the new when the new sets come out, things like that. That I don't know if you were committed to because you would earn the gold and then buy packs. Well, that's not really the content that I know some people like that. Opening packs is, it's a narcotic to some people.
It absolutely is. But I found that the pack openings didn't do nearly as well. If I had gone out and spent that money on real packs, I would have gotten more views.
That's correct. And that's what I'm saying is that you're using a digital media where you're not opening 15 cards in a land, you're opening 6 cards or whatever it is, 8 cards or whatever.
1 rare, 2 uncommons, and 5 commons.
Yeah. And, so with your content and with any content, because there's a lot of things that I always have going through my head with stuff that I want to do with Chris. It's just like this is the first night I have a new microphone.
It's banging too.
And I stepped up and Chris, actually I went back through Chris and my messages from almost 2 years ago when he posted it to me, that this was the mic and stuff. Cause here's the deal. I don't have young kids at home. I'm not married, which is great because, one of the things about being single is you can do pretty much whatever you want with your adult money. And I make a good living. I live in a small house, which is great. One thing for me is that my son's moving home. So it's actually it's forced me and motivated me to do some things here, like build an arcade in my basement because as I do sometimes, impulsively bought a bunch of arcade games that I just love to death. But with him moving home, he has stuff that, he has a couch and things like that we have to find room for. So my living room that's currently my arcade now has to go downstairs, which is great because that's the whole point of it, because that's going to be our gaming space. When him and I are together, hopefully we'll have the time to, be able to play games and things. So I'll have content to come onto this show and maybe even others. Like one of the things that I would like to do, but I don't know how to do it yet, which is something I'll talk to Kris now that Dice Hate is a commitment, I can say, okay, Kris, now you're going to have to help me figure out how I can do, we'll call them Imperium unboxings,
Yeah.
There you
for
go. That
the
actually would
magazine
be really
and the
good.
figures, where I can have a top-down camera, and be able to go through what Imperium is, and so I scan them into my Google Docs and stuff like that. But this way, it's more interactive. It's kind of like my way of saying, I'm new to 40K. This is what I'm learning with Imperium.
Yeah.
This is what makes the purchase that I make, every month worthwhile. Not only just getting the figs and the terrain and all of that, but those are the things that I'm looking at. And then the second thing is, because I have to make space, my current setup that I have for my computer, monitors, and everything else is going to have to move because this is the second bedroom. So I'm going to have a gaming space upstairs where my desktop 49-inch monitor is and all of that to play Steam or whatever kind of games. And then I'm going to do my studio downstairs in the arcade, because having that as a background, I think would be a pretty cool background. But once again, I got to get a better camera, so there's some commitment. And, I already have my moniker or whatever you want to call it, my title for a YouTube channel or Twitch channel, which is late to the games, because I'm always late to every freaking thing that there ever is,
I like that. Copyright,
Yeah.
no one else is, anyone listen to this, you can't steal it. It's his.
Yeah. Well, I already have it on
I'm
YouTube.
already buying the domain name now.
Yeah. I already have it on YouTube, so it's already done. But that's my whole thing, is just, I always think that when you do things like you were doing with Magic Ed, Kris is doing with his unboxings and his writing, and, with lack of focus, things like that, is, you kind of have to find your niche. And my niche, because I have ADHD and the way my brain works, is going to be all over the fucking place.
It's so funny that you mention that, because legitimately that's one of the problems I feel that I personally have. If I had to sit down and look at some of my character flaws, one of them is that I get really, really hyper committed to something for a short period of time, a year, 2 years, maybe 3, and then I lose interest. X-Wing's the same thing. At one point in time, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with myself, whenever I made the move from Pittsburgh to Columbus, I think I lost that edge. I had a really good group. In Columbus that I got to meet, got a whole bunch of new guys, but I only spent a year with them. And then whenever I came back, X-Wing was dead here. So I literally lost my edge. And when you didn't have those people playing, you had to play around, you didn't have the conversation to have all the time. I remember points in times during Nova that I spent lunch breaks building lists, throwing lists up, studying lists, studying tournament results, listening to X-Wing podcasts. That was the entire hobby. Was at any point in time I'd be thinking about X-Wing, and then all of a sudden it went away. And then I always have my on again, off again relationship with 40K. I had from 4th edition into 6th edition, where I just stuck around with the game, and then I didn't like 6th edition, so I walked away from it. And then 8th edition came around, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be new, but it didn't quite stick. And now 9th edition, oh my god, I'm totally on board with where the game is. So I literally have these ebbs and flows with different games. I still have a gigantic PS3 collection. I'd love to start getting into talking about old retro games that I've tried to do a channel for, never really committed to it as much as I wanted to, didn't have the time for it.
The only type of PlayStation game I can't play is PS5 games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've got
you have
my PS3 is backwards compatible through to PS1s.
Just like this baby right here.
Yeah, and now I've got a PS4. Like I say, I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn at the moment in preparation for doing my review of a board game. I've got a PSP that I hacked so I can do PS1 games on that as well. So I play cool. What have I, the really old one. It wasn't Oh, I can't remember what it's called now. It's going to annoy me. Someone else vamp, and I'll come back to it. Yeah, I've been playing.
I can go on my rant on Symphony of the Night and how it's one of the greatest games ever made.
No. But anyway, so I was playing an old game on that I was working on. It's like one of the top-down RPG,
Ooh,
craft your weapons kind of games. It's annoying. I cannot for the life of me. Mine's gone blank. Yeah, coming back. So anyway, I can completely derail the conversation and put us all on a downer just so we can lift it back up later.
heck yeah.
After Sean talking about ADHD and you saying about your like 2-year ADHD cycles,
I 100% go through cycles. I know it. I know me.
I've been really struggling in the last like year, 18 months with just like remembering and focusing on stuff and getting everything done. I was like, oh, should I go and get all the ADHD test done? So I went to a doctor's yesterday and had all of the assessments and everything done. And it's like, so I don't think you got ADHD, you've just got depression. I was like,
oh, well.
Thanks, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, so
like, weird.
If we're going to talk about that, like legitimately, like I've been thinking the same thing myself. Like honestly, if I get into any trouble, I always make the same comment when it comes to if I get into any trouble with my wife in any way, shape, or form, it's not living up to expectations. Like, hey, I asked you to do this, and for some reason, it doesn't stick in my brain. So the cell phone is my best friend because I can just push a button and say, hey, person in my phone, remind me to do this thing at 10 a.m. because I know I'm going to fucking forget.
Yeah, I've been getting better at it. Like my calendar is like filled with different tabs now. Like, so I've got 3 pending tasks, which on June 6th, I was supposed to do last month's bookkeeping, still not done yet. Spoiler, last month's bookkeeping hasn't been done since February. It's okay. I mean, I can do it all in a couple of days, but I still need to sit down and do it. Evie's fish tank's carbon filter needs replacing. That was June 19th. And then June 26th is clean the fish tank again. Because I do it at least once a week with her. So that's Evie's fault. She's 4. She was supposed to do it together, you know.
She was supposed to tell you. Like legitimately, it's like I'm not gonna lie, honest to God, my wife sent me a text today. One of our kids' doctors sent my son's got an eye doctor appointment. And the doctor always sends you the text the week before and goes, hey, on July 5th, you know, your son's got an appointment at 1:00 in the afternoon. And she texts me and goes, did you schedule off for this? And I had a brief moment where I went, I don't know. And I looked at my calendar and Ed was good. And he scheduled PTO time with work and said, yep, I've got a half a day that day. I'm good. I've got that taken care of. But that's because I had a little voice in my pocket that said, hey, dumbass, at 10:00 in the morning, you better do this. Like
old people in technology, man.
I don't know if it's old people. I think I've had this problem legitimately my entire life. Like I could quote you verbatim 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragon rules. Like you had mentioned starting up a D&D 2nd edition campaign, and I pulled out the old player's handbook and I remembered them. Like the back of my hand, like it was like putting on a pair of old jeans. It fit exactly the way that they were supposed to.
Just because your brain's full now, Ed. You've seen the Homer Simpson meme, isn't it? Well, you're full now, so when you learn something new, it's just got to push that old thing out.
Maybe. Well, and you know, it might have something to do with that because legitimately, I got myself in trouble a couple of weeks ago where I was remembering it was a movie or a concert I had gone to, and my wife and I, for those who don't know, we have 4 kids. We have been together for over 20 years. So my wife's memory infects every other memory of my entire life. So this concert was clearly before I had ever met my wife, before I even knew she even existed. But in my head, as I remember that memory, she's there at that concert with me. And of course, I'm telling the story and my wife's looking at me across the dinner table going, honey, we never went. Like that was in like 2001. I didn't know you then. I'm like, oh yeah. But that's how my lizard brain works nowadays. So I was, my point being to bring this full circle is I was genuinely considering going and getting this test because I honestly think there's something going on there that I've always had and I've just never had diagnosed.
I mean, I will always say people should go and do these kind of things because, and like, I'll be glib about it because before we all met, when I was still in the UK, still in the Air Force, I had depression, and I've been there and done it, and I know that that's not where I am now. So it's great because I can if there is anything, I always talk to Jill about it, and like we'll talk and discuss things like what's bothering me, and like if I'm annoyed or I'm irritable or I'm feeling down or anything, I'll preempt it and I'll tell people and talk to them. But yeah, like for me, depression was every bend in the road. Do I need to turn or not? Should I just keep going? Like,
Yep.
and you know what I mean? So like,
I've totally been there. You know, if I just don't turn here, I just don't hit the brakes here.
Yeah. And
the light switch goes off. Yeah, no, I've been there.
And I mean, this is a turn for the show, but you know, the best way to remove the stigma of this kind of thing is to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that doesn't happen anymore. So going to a doctor's and him being like, "Oh, you've just got depression and anxiety," I'm like,
are you sure?
I mean, mate, okay, cool.
That John Cena meme pops into your head. Are you sure about that?
All I'm saying is, I just want the Adderall so I can be a good gamer. Okay, that's all I want. Just give me the Adderall. I don't want none of this depression bullshit.
God. That's the thing I'm so afraid of. Like, all right, this is something I probably have never told anybody, at least not the two of you, I don't think. I don't like the idea of taking medications, period. Like, I will take ibuprofen for a headache. I take multivitamins too, but that's about it. Like, I don't know how I would feel if I were to be diagnosed like that and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to put you on Adderall." Like, first of all, I bet you I'd be a banging programmer. I bet you I'd be a hell of like, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty good. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I am pretty good. But I would be banging on point.
I'm aware of my cognitive dissonance here of like for depression. I was adamant that I just wanted to talk through stuff and deal with it and process.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any medication and this is a very old-fashioned. This is not good advice. So it worked for me. It's not. I am not a doctor, but I had this understanding of like the old-fashioned medications where if you've got your bell curve of your emotions with manic depression, let's just not turn on this corner at one end, and delirious happiness at the other, and all the medication did is cut those ends off so that you don't have that, like you don't have the sad end. But like, I was talking to a doctor about it yesterday, and I was like, I'm not willing to take any medication that's going to bring the top end down. Like, I'm open to talking to you about medications and stuff like that, but personally, I don't think I need it. I think if there is anything, I'll go to a counselor, I'll get a psychiatrist, I'll do that stuff, and then we'll follow up and we'll do a test again, whatever. But that's where I am in my head, that I would rather have the lows so that I can have the highs.
Yeah,
because
that makes perfect sense.
Having that time with Evie, or it's just anything, you know, I don't know. But that is, I feel like that's a very old-fashioned notion of how it all works and very much out of date. Because I know, like, he was talking about the different things where, like, they don't do that. Or there's ones that work in different ways. They activate different thing, you know, chemicals, dude. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a moron with an old-fashioned opinion. So there you go. But yeah,
we are getting up there. Yeah, no, and like I said, I for a really, really long time talked to a counselor every other Thursday. So when we weren't doing this show, I was having especially during COVID times and trapped inside, not allowed to go anywhere, not allowed to do anything, was particularly tough. I've graduated, if you can. My point being, I'm happy with where my life is currently, so I don't see the need. Yeah. I mean, at some certain point in time, I only ended up talking to my counselor about Lord of the Rings and Star Wars memes for like 45 minutes. And then the third time of doing that in a row, you're like, maybe we don't need to be doing this anymore.
And then he just goes like, well, what do you think of Rise of Skywalker, Edward? And you're like, motherfucker! And that's, you need counseling.
He absolutely did that when he absolutely
you've
pulled
got to
out.
keep giving me your money, man. Yeah, I was about to sign you off, but that rage needs dealing with.
That's a funny thing. That's a funny thing about that. It's all voluntary. Just throwing that out there.
I know.
But
what was it? I went. The other thing I did recently, I was going to book a massage, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a chiropractor. I don't believe in it. I didn't.
Neither
Never.
do I.
And I went, and it was weird. But I was like instantly like it. The aching and the pain went away, and the next day the pain came back in like a muscular pain, but it was none of a tightness, and it was really weird. Because like my old man neck was still really loose, but the muscle ache was still there. So I saw him again on Monday, and he did all of his stuff again. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then I went for a massage yesterday, so I'm sore now, but all my muscles are always.
How does that?
But I'm like,
legit, how does that work out? Like, so I'm genuinely fascinated by this because my wife sees a chiropractor twice a month because she gets migraine headaches, and and that is the one thing that seems to work with her. Having someone going in and that seems to fix it. Okay, cool. And she has massage once a month. Now, our insurance is awesome and covers all of this, so that none of this is out of pocket. And she's always like, you should go and do that. And I'm like, but I don't have any pain. Like, what I'm afraid of is if I go and do that, it's going to cause pain that I'm going to then need to go back and keep having done corrected.
I think one interesting thing about pain is there's a lot of times with a lot of people you don't realize you have it. Like how you carry stress, how you carry everything. I'm not a big fan of chiropractors just because, I have rods and screws in my back,
Well, that would be problematic.
From my opinion of chiropractors, which has not changed having seen a chiropractor, and this guy was extremely open and honest about it is that any profession that relies upon you coming back again to give me money again next week doesn't feel like medicine.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, my thoughts exactly.
And even physical therapy is like that.
Again, when you're doing in America, therapy, I can see that. In Joseph Fitzpatrick, so I'm going to defend the profession.
I was going to say,
but this guy was pretty upfront about it. It was like, look, he looked at me, and like we were talking, and I knew what was coming. It's like, do you know what makes all your problems go away? Losing 5 or 6 stone, like being 70 pounds lighter. So I'm pretty sure my life would be a lot better. My knees wouldn't hurt, my ankles wouldn't hurt. It's almost like I'm not supposed to be carrying around the weight of one extra half a person. Like weird.
It's a true statement.
Yeah, it 100% is.
And he said, like, look, you don't have to do any of the stuff, but if you want to, I'll come to gym with you. I'll spot you. We'll work on stuff, or do what a lot of people do and just keep paying me money. Right.
I gotta go to your fucking doctor, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I mean?
That guy's the greatest.
No, I'm like. That's it. It's I feel good now, and I had been doing a lot of going to gym and stuff, but I'd tailed off it and done all of that. So I just need to check Discord to make sure we're hitting all of these topics that we're supposed to talk about.
I was just thinking, I was looking at the clock, going, "Oh wow, I didn't." This is all right. This is a conversation.
We're in health and wellness. We've got. I've not talked about being. No, I spoke about why I was tired when Evie was born. We've mentioned Sean's arcade. Spoke about Evie. Sean's got his kids in there. You mentioned your kids.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't reschedule a recording, so that one's out this week. So all we've got left is anyone building a PC? No.
Well,
no PC building.
Graphics cards are back down to below MSRP. I was giving a thought process out to it, but yeah, these are all the. point being, yeah, we probably should get back on track because I do have a hard stop. The only reason I have a hard stop is I was out in the baking sun filming for our team huddle today, and I'm like genuinely exhausted. But like Sean had said that he can't record any other day this week, and I'm like, I can't let the guys down. I've got to be there.
Yeah. So for those not in the know, you should join the Discord because there was an amusing post from last week's show talking about My Little Pony and if we're going to add that to a rotation. And he said this new section of the cast can go alongside the other off-topic sections like health and wellness, building a PC, why is Kris tired, building an arcade, gaming dads with stories of their kids.
Wait, where is this at?
Just this is on the June 28th, just in Discord from Matt.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I honestly I read it and I laughed out loud.
Health and wellness, we did that. We haven't talked about building a PC yet. Why Kris is tired. Yeah, we pretty much have talked about all of this stuff, and I didn't even see this damn post.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Matt, you are like really spot on.
It was I honestly I was pissing myself. It was good. I liked it.
All right, yeah. See, and Matt, this is the reason why we're going to kind of like put this under a different umbrella so that we're treating our fans.
I'm looking forward to the health and wellness show, to be honest. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
It's going to be the same show, but we're all in spandex.
Yeah. I've got bike shorts in the back right there. It's got the little padded bums and a little crotch area so that like because God, do I hate getting on that bike because I feel like I'm getting a pole shoved up my ass every time I do it.
Oh dear.
Well, that show's going to have the little, like you have on Facebook with the little eye with the dash through it. And this video is for, adult. If you want to keep your eye retinas in shape, don't watch this, video.
Yeah, don't watch. Listen, It's an all audio. Do that.
Right.
All right. So is there anything else you wanted to cover? Like I feel like first of all, I do want to thank everyone who has tuned in over 105 episodes. You guys are troopers. Nothing legitimately is going to change. If you've hung in there for as long as you have, episode 1 of whatever the new show is going to sound like is going to be just like picking up on episode 106 of this show. Like nothing is going to change.
Except Kris will be talking more.
Except Kris will be talking more.
And every third week it's just going to be an outrageous show because of the way my brain works.
Oh, so. I can't wait. Like I'm legitimately looking forward to that, to be honest with you. Yeah. And like, to be honest, like I said, to finish my thought with Chad, I didn't even mention it, but while Chad was here, he was talking about maybe we should go back and consider doing a 40K show again. And I'm like, this is a perfect way to do it. So maybe I pull Chad back in. Maybe. We'll see. I'm trying to pull him out of his shell that he's currently in. Let's say
his Chadness.
Yes,
You're pulling Chad out of his Chad.
I'm trying. I physically had him here. We were laughing and having a good time watching Rick and Morty. I thought that was good mental health. There, full circle.
Yeah, health and wellness always important. Yeah, so I do have some quantifying statements to make just about the changes that are coming and how it's going to work for our current supports and everything like that. So my plan at the moment is, because the podcast is going to launch and it's going to have its own members area and everything like that, which is going to change some things a little bit. I'm not going to go into details because there'll be its own bits of content, and they'll once it all happens, you'll not be able to miss it if you care enough about it. To, you know what I mean? But effectively, this will be the last episode of Lack of Focus, which will charge the current patrons. There's going to be any content that we put out through July, I am not going to be charging the monthly patrons for. The Dice Hate Patreon will continue as normal because that is a monthly billing thing, whereas in the Lack of Focus one was always billed per episode. So if you want to continue to support this content specifically, you can cancel the Patreon on Lack of Focus and move over to Dice Hate and just do a monthly fee. Or you can just hang around and wait until the website launches with all of that new stuff. But basically, the changes that are going to happen as a rough outline, is going to be, rather than me just sending random tokens out as and when I decide to finally get design made and make them, there's going to be an online store with all of the different tokens, and there'll be a stock level. Yeah, it's got the evade ones.
They're still
the
here
lack of
on the
evade.
desk. The lack of
Yeah.
evade, they're right here.
Yeah. I'm also for charge, remember? I think that's Sean packaged them. I think Sean packaged yours and Chad's together.
Oh,
can't remember.
Damn. Well, I should probably get those to him then. I physically saw him on Tuesday. I should have done that. Oops.
Yeah, I think it was 8 each. I can't remember.
You should have had 2 together.
Yeah. But anyway, that aside, tangents within tangents.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't go on tangents. Come on.
Any of the money that you're paying through Patreon or the subscriptions or anything will build up a credit balance in the store, and you'll be able to order stuff from the store that you actually want for free. You won't have to use it on X-Wing tokens if you don't play X-Wing. You won't get forced to take a 40k token or something, you know what I mean? It will be relevant stuff to what you want to use your credit on, which I think is a better model.
I like that idea better.
So that should come into fruition sometime in July, and then everything will go from there. But there'll be content will still be going on to the Patreon pages if you use them, but nothing will be being charged for the Lack of Focus one after this episode. So thank you for all of your support. It's meant a lot, and if you would like to continue, please do. You can, again, I will be putting up posts, and I will make sure notifications go out to everyone before anything restarts, so that you're able to either cancel or I can refund stuff. All of that thing will all get sorted out. Then the website is, because I'm old, as we discussed, it's www.dicehate.com. It's not a hard one. And that will, so it's just dicehate.com. You don't need a www.http/ what is it?
http:// or depending if you're on a secure site, it's https://
So
you should be on a secure site. It should be most modern browsers already put that in for you. You don't even need to worry about it. Just but it's known.
I was watching a sketch of something where we were talking about websites and how much time we wasted in the 90s saying www.
Yep.
Because why didn't they figure out that every website starts with www? Because if every website does
All right, so there is an answer to that question. Back in the old infrastructures that were there before, there were actually 3. There was the www, and then there were the W3s, and I think the other one was the W2, or it was just 2. And they all condensed eventually into the same protocol. It depends on what internet protocol they were using. I know this is probably going completely off topic, but it wouldn't be us if we didn't. Long story short, they standardized their protocols in the early 2000s, and then everything became www. Which is right around the time that everyone started dropping those because modern browsers just automatically knew to put it in.
Yeah, but no, it was good. I'm pretty excited for all of that to finally, not least because it's been a lot of work. And I just bit the bullet and was like, you know what? I'm just going to pay to have a good website. So it's all, I couldn't afford to pay someone else to give me a good website, so I've had to do it all myself. But but it's
going to mean more to you. You're going to know it inside and out whenever you have changes you need to make.
Yeah, but it's good. I'm excited. I think I've got to retake, like, all the pictures that are on it are all just like placeholders taken with my phone, so I need to do like real pictures and make sure like the shelves are tidy and dust and do all of that. But I'm pretty excited and happy that that's finally going to launch, and there should be a bunch of content on there. And it's going to, when I was talking about it with the people who've been helping me through stuff, it's like just having that feeling of having a home.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. Is all of the content is coming home, because dicehate.com went down at the start of COVID, and since then it's been hard. So it'd be a happy day for me. So whilst it is a sad show because it is the end of this era, it's also going to be celebrating the start of something new. So I'm
excited.
That's where I'm looking. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little weird 2 weeks from now if we don't have something in the works. Like I assume episode 1 of whatever we're doing is going to be in 2 weeks because
we've got a lot of homework to do. Yeah,
yeah, because like I've built my entire thought process around the idea that every 2 weeks I'm hanging out with you guys, and I can't live without that. To be perfectly honest, so I assume we're doing something in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep, I have it all on my. Well, I don't have it on that calendar. It's all on my phone. I showed you already. It's all in there.
You did.
I'm looking forward to people who were watching it, seeing what YouTube clip I had on my phone and I was watching. All right, Taskmaster Series 9, Episode 9 is what I'm on. Taskmaster is a good YouTube. It's Channel 4, I think, in the UK, but it's a good comedy sketch show. You should check that out. It's on YouTube for free, ad free. It's good. Would recommend. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have. I should give you ways to contact us. What I would say is, rather than, I'm not going to drop the lack of focus email for this one. You can that email will still be active and checked. But if you want any feedback for these changes, you should email dicehate@gmail.com, because that's what I'm actively using at the moment. And I'm responding to 1 billion emails every day at the minute. So you should throw stuff in there or talk about stuff on the Discord. And yeah, like the Discord's the best place to talk about anything, to be honest.
Yeah,
as I say.
I suspect new channels will be popping up in the Discord as each new iteration of whatever content creation is going to be. There's going to be their own little spots. So those of you that are willing to go on Ed's 40K Primer channels, we can pull them in there. If we're going to go down, Sean should have his own arcade channel in there. And like legitimately, my suspicion is going to be that kind of stuff is going to be popping up. Just guessing.
Yeah. I did a brief cleanup of a bunch of areas in there and made it tidier a little while ago in preparation for doing all of this. So,
hey, Ed, just real quick. My channel is going to be Sean's channel of utter chaos and total madness. So,
all right, Erebus.
Legitimately, I thought of bringing you on for the 40K one just to kind of like bring you into the 40K. Here's how the game's played. Like, I know you're learning the game, so like, you know me, I have a formula. Like the first 8 episodes will be like the basic rules of how to play the game, and then we'll move into more higher advanced kind of stuff because I like to do that kind of stuff in perpetuity. So if anyone I've already got thoughts. Like if nothing else, having this conversation, having that message right before I left work and thinking about it on the drive home has fired off so many different synapses on cool ideas and stuff I would like to do. That's outside of this, still including all of you, but just different. It should be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep. I agree.
All righty. Well, it's been fun. It's been a blast. We're not going away. I'll talk to these guys in 2 weeks. You'll hear from us in 2 weeks. Something will be up. But as a show, I think 105 episodes. It beat what we did before by about 25 episodes, 30 episodes.
Yeah, we did we've had a really good run, and that's the other part of why it was hard to actually push through the decision for me to actually do it.
How much you didn't get any? You got no pushback from either one of us, though. When you said it,
I knew I wouldn't, but it was one of those like, because if I do relaunch for sure, I'm not going to relaunch it at episode 106 or whatever it would be. It's going to be like season 2, episode 1.
Yeah.
So like this run ends on this show. So whatever happens, this season is done.
Yeah.
And you know, something for the news show, since we're really talking about it, is let's not worry about episodes. Let's just name it, each one. So that you don't have to have a chronology, because we're going to be all over the place anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Like we can do seasons, we can do runs of limited runs of shows, There's so many ways of using it and doing it once we open it up to that.
And then we can have like a closed door, not on recording conversation about how we want to handle each individual show or each individual content creation. Like that would work. Yeah. All right. I've hit my hard stop deadline. So we're not, like I said, we're not going anywhere. We'll be here back in 2 weeks for the same type of content and the same type of mannerisms and the same type of people all there, just covering it in a different way. But we'll close the book on this chapter and move on happily to the next ones. So I can't say until next time. So it has been a hoot. It has been a blast. We'll see you next time on the next show in the next iteration.
In the next multiverse.
In the next multiverse, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.